people that were inside that mansion at the time that DHS, or Department of Homeland Security, made entry into this mansion and onto this property. And you saw the juxtaposition of these heavily armed vehicles and those very expensive luxury cars that are parked right on that driveway right there. So clearly a very different sight than we're used to seeing. But there you see some of the people that were inside that mansion at the time of the raid. They are being talked to by investigators, by people from the Department of Homeland Security. I could see they're getting their pictures taken as well. So maybe they don't know who they're looking for or who they have in front of them at this point. But again, part of the process of gathering information as to who in particular was on the grounds at the time that they made entry during this raid. So if we do have a vantage point from the ground there, I'm not sure if we have a...
Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami were raided by Homeland Security, and everything we're hearing is this is in connection with the human trafficking, the sex trafficking allegations that have been made against him in the various civil cases.
And clearly now the feds are investigating this. As you can see, the dramatic footage outside his home here in LA, where they had several people out in the front yard for questioning. And then actually there were people who were cuffed eventually, including two of Diddy's sons. Now, we don't know at this stage if they have been booked for anything. They were in handcuffs.
And I want to say this quickly because they were in handcuffs, but a lot of times they do that to get them out of the house because they don't know their status. It doesn't mean they're suspects or arrested. It could be, but it doesn't mean that. And so this is a typical thing that happens. But this is a federal investigation in 2 states. And, we talked about the various civil allegations. This is a whole new level.
This would be, obviously, they're looking into criminal, the feds are looking into a criminal charge here, but nothing has been announced yet. And we also don't know where Diddy is at this point.
That's right. So he usually lives primarily in Miami. That's usually where he's at anyway. He flies around, obviously, but Miami seems to be his home base. No visual, no word, no official report or anything of him being under arrest or detained or anything. But in any case, it's obviously D-Day, no pun intended. Look, can I be honest with you? I had a suspicion this would happen at some point because of the mounting lawsuits. Despite all the denials from Diddy, they kept mounting and the same thing kept being brought up. Alleged human/sex trafficking. And at a certain point, the federal government is not going to turn a blind eye to that, right? And I mean,
they at least say we should look into this.
Well, by the way, this is more than we should look into this. They had to get a search warrant, which means that they had to convince a judge that there was probable cause to believe that there was indeed sex trafficking, human trafficking. So this is not just a probe. This is presenting evidence to a federal judge saying, we have probable cause to believe Diddy is involved in human trafficking. And as a result, warrants got issued in both Los Angeles and Miami. So that's how serious this is right now. By the way, we have been blowing up the phones of his various lawyers, and they are indisposed right now. They are not talking. We've also been...
Imagine they're in a war room somewhere.
The other thing I was going to mention real quick, and I'm sure this came to somebody's mind, but this very much reminds me of the R. Kelly saga. I mean, for a long time, R. Kelly was, just living his life, doing his thing, and all of a sudden, one day, law enforcement gets involved, he gets arrested, and the rest is history. I'm not saying the same is going to happen here with Diddy, obviously, but this is sort of the start of usually how that stuff like that goes.
It is the same playbook. You notice there are a lot of public allegations made either in a documentary, in the case of R. Kelly, in the case of Diddy, several lawsuits, and it gets the feds, their antenna go up, and then the investigation starts.
What is really interesting, fascinating about all of this is it started with Cassie, and that's his ex, and this whole thing probably would have never come out from under the rug because he could have settled it, and he wouldn't settle it, and I guess he called her bluff. But then she files this lawsuit making all these horrific allegations. The next day, he settles with her. But because it all became public, Other women then came forward, in particular, a Jane Doe
in December who alleged that she was 17 when Diddy and his associates sexually assaulted her. And she also alleged human and sex trafficking in that lawsuit. So, and we've seen it pop up in another more recent lawsuit filed here in LA. So,
this is unconfirmed, but we have reason to believe that the feds have spoken to at least one of these women before getting this search warrant. And as a matter of fact, it really makes complete sense. In order to show probable cause, you have to show that there's something untoward that happened, and it would be probably a declaration from one of those women. Yeah. And we have reason to believe at least one of them, and it's a Jane Doe, was either in touch directly with Homeland Security or with via her lawyer.
And to Harvey's point from earlier, when Cassie opened the floodgates, because she was the first one to do that, such a high-profile person in a high-profile relationship with Diddy, obviously that opened the doors, and I'm sure he's regretting playing chicken with her because he clearly lost, and now he's sort of paying for it, I think.
I'm like, did he do it? Did he drug her? Did he rape her? If you ain't do shit, Diddy, why did you pay out?
Man, so remember Uncle Murder came with them bars on the wrap up. Did he do it? Did he drug her? Did he her? Diddy, if you didn't do that ish, why did you pay her? And y'all heard the whole breakdown there from TMZ, and it's really wild to just kind of think about it all and take it all in, because it's been a trip off the rip, the fact that Diddy settled with her. And we know as more and more allegations came out, with that law that was going on civilly in New York for that time span that was allowing accusers and victims to sue individuals that perpetrated those types of wicked acts against them. More and more allegations came out, and it was like a big time span where Diddy didn't say ish. Then he finally came out and said, I'm going to fight against these heinous allegations, this, that, and the third. Well, it's like, well, why did you pay her, period, then? Why did you settle with her, period, then? For those that have been following the channel for the longest time, Billy Joel voice, it goes back to the wicked Mousty, right? Like, he copped a plea to those heinous crimes that he committed, right? But he's like, I'm from a state where it's a commonwealth, and you just have no choice. You have to plea out, and just all this BS, man. No one who didn't do those kind of things is gonna cop a plea. And that's I'm feeling the same way as all this is with Diddy. You know what I mean? Why did you pay her if you didn't do it? Why did you settle with her? And like they were saying, he played this game of chicken and that's his greed and arrogance, which come around to bite him in the arse. Because if he would have settled just totally out of court, we would have never got any wind of any of this. We almost didn't hear it at this point when she filed and then he settled. But, NDAs and stuff are signed, but there's still news, hardcore journalists out there on the front lines getting that pertinent info. And they're like, oh, this is what it is. He paid her, and word came out. And like we said, he didn't address ish. He didn't say Nathan until about 10 other motherfuckers went and filed against him. And apologies to reference them individuals as motherfuckers because they're victims. I'm just on one on this one, man. This is crazy. You seen the way they went up in there, strapped like the SWAT team, trafficking. They hit both his cribs, LA and Miami. And I'm like, yo, I haven't heard any reports of Diddy being at either of those spots. So it's like, is next thing we gonna know, is he gonna be out of the country in some country that don't have extradition? Like, real talk. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. I try to get this blog out there to y'all, but comment if I did miss something. But for real, did this man flee? Is he gonna be hiding? Is that it? Did he get the word from some dirty agent or something like that? It's just crazy, man. The greed and arrogance, like they said, is what made this all transpire. It would have never got this far. And it just really makes you think, too, about how many other situations get settled and we never hear about it. totally covered up. That ish is a trip to really think about, man. A lot of wicked ish goes totally without anyone knowing. And a lot of motherfuckers with money who are on this high power, like, don't get me wrong, there's poor creeps, mid-level creeps, working class creeps, but I'm saying a lot of the high-powered, rich, I can do whatever I want, power trip, ego trip, God complex, rich motherfuckers do that type of ish, trying to cover it all up with their money, and they try to intimidate individuals and all that. But I don't know. It's just a crazy scene to see. 2024 is a wild year, man. On a like all the ish that's been happening right away, right off the rip when the year started. But there's also like some spiritual type ish going on in the world too, man. Like this plays into it, but it's a whole nother convo, man. Make sure y'all are tuning into the lives. We're going to talk about that more on there, but, tap in and comment and let me know if you are aware of all this spiritual ish going on. Let me know your thoughts on this situation. And you see 50 Cent reacting saying, damn, check it out, man. They got the kids cuffed. What the fuck is going on? As 50 has been on Diddy's bumper, supposed to still having this documentary coming. I was saying, why didn't he have it out sooner? As the way Fifth's been talking, I was feeling like he has some kind of evidence or an accuser or something like that in there. But like now, I thought he was dropping the ball by waiting, but now with the raid, this would be the perfect time to drop. But you know what's even more a trip? What if, because everyone's feeling bad for the youth, what if one of them knew about some of this ish? That's a trippy thing to think about, because one of Diddy's kids, I forget which one, was mentioned in some of the individuals. Like, I don't know if they were depositions or statements or whatever. That'd be a trip, man, but this is all just we're thinking, thinking out loud. This isn't anything we're saying for show, but it's crazy. Whack 100 also reacted saying, for Meek Mill's sake, hopefully them photos and tapes and everything got thrown out. I wonder, man, for real, wouldn't that be crazy if Diddy's out of the country and all his hard drives are wiped and all that, man? I don't know. Homeland Security not playing. As you see, this investigation kicked off out of the Southern District Federal Court in New York. They raided the cribs in Miami and LA. Where is Diddy? What's going on? Stay tuned for updates. Jump in the comments, sub to the channel. It's coffee. I'm gone. So an update on the end here, man, that just jumped off is Diddy was seen pacing around the airport of all places. So I don't know. Apparently it was go time, unless, this just happens to be a coincidence that right at the same time these raids are going down, he's at the airport. But it's odd. He doesn't seem to be detained. And there's, reports coming out that he was waiting on people that had spoke to the feds to come with him. I don't know, normally, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, when people go to court or at a bail hearing is when talks about, taking someone's, them having to surrender their passport happens. So if he's not taken into custody now, I don't know, is he able to just hop on a plane and skate, get the fuck out of Dodge? It's wild, man. What do y'all think about it? This is absolutely crazy, man. 2024, what a fucking year.